am Kristen Oakes-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
The Mississippi River is looking a lot different in September than the rest of the year. It seemed it was never going to go back to normal, but after 212 days, it finally is.
Believe it or not, some folks are still dealing with the effects. The high river levels have kept away folks who normally make hay on the river's levees. TWILA's Neil Melanson shows us between high water and rainy weather, they've been lucky to get in any work this year at all.
You can see these days that the Mississippi River is way down from where it was just 2 short months ago. It's a big relief for Pete Emel, who works both cattle and hay along these levees.
It's been a tough year. Most farmers in Louisiana have caught trouble this year with the weather. Weather conditions have not been the best for any type of agriculture. With the hay, we've had such a wet spring, wet summer. We're trying to catch up now with our hay production.
It's easy to think that it's easy to grow grass in Louisiana's warm and humid conditions, but turning it into hay is a different matter, according to one of Emel's field hands, Kevin Chenove.
The hay season's been kind of slow. It got off to a rough start, especially for us, since the river's been so high. We were limited as to what hay we could cut on our flat ground just because of the seepage water, but we've been relying a lot on our levees just because it's the only land that's been able to really dry out for us.
Behind Kevin here is grass that's been cut with a high moisture content, then wrapped in plastic left to dry. They've been getting a break here lately on the weather with some drier conditions that helps in making this hay.
We bale it when the hay is at a moisture content of 65 to 40. We cut it green, we wrap it in plastic, and it goes through a fermenting process and turns into haylage, which is like silage in a bale. And it increases the protein value from about what would have been dry hay at about 4 to 5%. It'll run that protein up because it's still got the moisture and the baling it green. It'll bring the moisture up in that hay up to 10 or 12% easily.
Even with the lower river and drier skies, Emel Farms is way behind in haying this year. The Mississippi River has kept them off of these levees, and even in their regular pastures, they've seen sand boils from the river.
Seepage has been pretty steady for months and months now, so we're still having problems with it now. We've tried to cut some flat land, but it's too soft. So
Haying is usually wrapping up in Louisiana by September or October, but Pete Emel said they might go as late as November depending on when the first frost is. And guys, one thing I learned on this is just how important nutrients are to the whole haying process. It's why, you know, Louisiana, of course, I mean, you'd expect we could grow grass just about, 365 days a year, and that's almost true, but it's the quality of what happens afterwards that's the issue. The high moisture contact, insect pressure, fungus that can grow in it can all sap those nutrients, and depending on when they cut it, what the moisture level is, I mean, you saw in the story, they have dry hay and they have wet hay, but it all has to be managed so that those cows get the nutrients they need.
Well, it's so much work that goes into it. A lot of people don't realize that most cattle folks are grass farmers.
Yes.
They're just as much farmers as row crop farmers.
Just like any other crop.
And one of the great things they have at the LSU Ag Center is this whole pasture processing thing where they can go, they want you to sample it bit by bit across an entire pasture and then develop a nutrient plan for that. So, I mean, it's exactly what row crop people go through all the time. Yeah. It's just the crop is a little different.
Well, we appreciate you giving us that look at it. Thank you, Neil Melanson.
Well, you've likely seen the news about Louisiana's East Bank Little League baseball team winning the World Series. But did you know the state is also home to another national title team that's always on target?
In June, the Louisiana 4-H shooting sports team won the national championships in Grand Island, Nebraska. Just getting the chance to compete on that national level is a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
It takes focus, skill, and practice to hit the bullseye over and over again. And that's exactly what the Louisiana 4-H shooting sports team accomplished. This trophy is for winning the National Shooting Sports Competition. It's the first time Louisiana won that title.
We're in our 20th year coming up here for shooting sports in Louisiana. We've had a ton of good kids. We've been competitive up there at nationals every year, but everything just clicked this year. We were able to fill up every team. We had a lot of real experienced and good kids, and it all fell together. And so we were obviously very, very excited.
David Bolt is the 4-H shooting sports coordinator. He says it takes a team of 9 coaches to prepare for the national competition. Just going to nationals is special because competitors only get one shot in their discipline. So if they compete nationally in compound archery this year, they can only return next year in either recurve archery, shotguns, pistols, or another discipline.
Well, we start out with about 2,000 kids in the north and the south, and then all of those compete at regionals. It narrows down to a state competition, and then ultimately it boils down to 36 kids that have the opportunity to go to nationals.
We knew we were a good team and worked well together.
Erin Jane Wilkinson competed in rifles. She says it takes a lot of work to win this title.
It takes a lot of practice, a lot of time spent on reading books about mental awareness, because it's a lot of mental stuff that goes into shooting at a national level as well as physical.
So she and other members of the team are still practicing in new disciplines, hoping to get Louisiana's name on this trophy again.
My team was really amazing. I wouldn't have chosen anybody else to go up there with. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have won the overall title.
To learn more about 4-H shooting sports, visit our website at twilatv.org. And Kristen, how good these young men and women were was just unbelievable. All the practice they put in and everything. There is no way I could ever have the eye that they do.
I was going to ask you, did you learn a thing or two?
Yeah, I learned that especially for like the archery folks, that there's a lot more time and technique that goes into it. And I was looking at their gear. Interesting thing, the maximum they can have their tension at is 60 pounds. So they can't have an 80-pound compound bow. The highest they can go is like 59.9, because if they hit 60, they get disqualified.
No, bow shooting's tough, and imagine trying to hit a moving target.
Can't do it. Can't do it. Well, you've heard us talk a lot about podcasts lately. It's because we're kind of excited about them, and for good reason.
Over the past couple of weeks, the Voice of Louisiana Agriculture podcast has moved to a daily production. Carrie Martin hosts the podcast and features an interview in each podcast. Sometimes it's a farmer, sometimes it's a marketing expert, and sometimes it may even be a lobbyist.
However, with the Louisiana governor's race heating up, Carrie's been reaching out to each candidate and gotten them onto the podcast. He visits with Governor John Bel Edwards about his upbringing on a farm in Amite, and how he's worked to help farmers in his first term as governor.
Next on the podcast is Louisiana's 5th District Congressman Dr. Ralph Abraham. Martin and Abraham discuss his many careers, from being a farmer to a veterinarian to a medical doctor and eventually to congressman, all of which come back to serving his community in Northeast Louisiana.
Baton Rouge businessman Eddie Risponi is the third major candidate that we plan to feature on the podcast very soon. You can go listen to each of these episodes on our website at twilatv.org.
We also have a brand new Louisiana Farm Life podcast out.
It features cattle rancher and hay farmer Amelia Kent. In the podcast, Kent discusses her family farm, but also mental health, an issue she says has been swept under the rug for far too long. Here's a short clip.
Mental health is a big one, and especially in the agricultural community where there's so much pride and so much toughness, and even like an exterior shell. People have to be tough. I mean, you have to be tough to survive in our industry. So when you think about mental health, that one's one of the first ones to get swept under the rug and quickly ignored. Personally, Russell and I went through a pretty big loss in 2018, which has kind of made me... We're still dealing with our loss. We had a late-term miscarriage in May of 2018, and we're still working through that. But it's made me acutely more sensitive to others going through challenges of their own.
To listen to the entire podcast, head over to our website, twilatv.org. Also, if you know someone that we should feature on the podcast, click on the contact button and let us know. We're always looking for interesting people to chat with. Like Amelia said, farmers are tough people, and their job is one of the most dangerous. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, agriculture is the most hazardous industry, with 23 work-related deaths per 100,000 workers annually.
That's why the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation and other national safety groups are shifting farm safety into high gear this coming week. The goal is to remind farmers and ranchers to be safe on and around the farm. Daily themes include tractor and rural roadway safety, farmer health and opioid and suicide prevention, safety and health for youth and women in agriculture, and safety in confined spaces. Louisiana Farm Bureau Safety Director Wendell Miley says that farm safety is easy to talk about, but living it out on the farm is much more important.
Farming in general is one of the most dangerous occupations to be involved in our country. Farmers are exposed to so many hazards, so just putting yourself in the shoes of somebody else who has suffered a farm injury, who has lost a young kid on the farm from him being in that environment each and every day. So, you know, safety is something that is easy to talk about, but implementing it in your operation is utmost importance to try and hopefully keep people safe as they work around a farming operation.
We'll be sharing information on each of these topics every day next week on our social media pages. A way that you can help is by sharing those for your friends and family to see. It could make a huge impact. To learn more about National Farm and Health Safety Week, head over to our website at twilatv.org.
A few weeks ago, a small farm in Jeff Davis Parish gained a couple of new mouths to feed.
One Louisiana man saw a calf that had a leg up on the others at the Kinder livestock auction. As TWILA's Carl Wigger shows us, he may have come home with an even pair of mouths, but an odd number of hooves, just adding to the unique farm of Matt Alexander.
Off a rural road in Hathaway, you'll find some horses, a couple of turkeys, a handful of goats, and a very unique calf named Elsie.
He just sent a Snapchat picture to me. He was at the sale barn, and I opened it, and I work with a friend of mine that's from here, and I showed her, and we were immediately like, oh, we gotta have this.
And then immediately she's like, no, I don't want it.
But he knew that once he got here with her and I saw her, I'd love her, and he was right. I mean, it's with every animal we ever get. I don't really say no.
They lowered the price to $35, and I was like, well, you know what? If nobody gets it, it'll probably go to the back and end up dying because they're going to split the cow from the calf. So I went ahead and got the calf.
Matt Alexander says those first few days were crucial for Elsie.
First 3 days I was kind of worried. You know, it was kind of weak looking. I was like, man, it's not going to make it.
We were really worried that she wouldn't at first, and so it was really cool every day to watch her progress, and not only progress, but to develop a really cool personality. She's very spunky.
Aside from caring for Elsie and the many other animals around the house, Matt enjoys escaping to his workshop, where he's always working with his hands.
I've been doing leather work for probably around 15 years now. I can do a little bit of everything. I haven't really mastered none of it, but you know, I can do it good enough. Leather turned into knives, and then knives are, you know, still being made, and then, you know, I'm doing more leather. Every year around Christmas, I do a bunch of custom duck lanyards and, you know, just whatever the hunters want, and that's my busiest time is whenever I get in there. I've built saddles before. I do knife sheaths, belts, chaps. This lifestyle, I mean, it's good. You know, you come and go as you please. You don't have a 9-to-5 job, so you're not getting a weekly check. You know, I like it. You know, I mean, I wake up and I do what I want to do, and you know, and there ain't nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't change nothing about it.
The couple created a Facebook page to allow Elsie's fans to follow along with her journey. To find that, head over to our website at twilatv.org. And you guys, it was pretty cool to go out and see and visit with Elsie and Matt and Megan as well. But Elsie's just a normal old calf. She doesn't realize that anything's crazy. She acts just like a normal calf walking around with her mom.
She doesn't know she's different. She thinks it's normal to have 5 hooves and 5 legs.
Nothing wrong with a little hoof hanging right here, huh?
She's definitely unique looking.
Yeah,
she may not be unique acting, but she's unique looking.
She is.
Great story.
Yeah, great story. Thanks, Carl.
Well, it may not feel like fall just quite yet, but it is the time to start thinking about corn mazes. The corn maze at the LSU Ag Center Botanic Gardens at Burden will be open to the public on October 5th, 12th, 19th, and 26th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day.
In addition to the maze, each day will feature a farm animal petting zoo, pumpkin decorating, hay mountain climb, riding a kid's zip line, and a hay ride. With plenty of food and drinks to enjoy, you can purchase hamburgers, popcorn, corn dogs, and other snacks and drinks from local vendors. The corn maze festivities will culminate with a night maze and bonfire on October 28th from 6 to 9 p.m. A family fun Halloween-themed evening. Children and adults are encouraged to go in costume and enjoy games, live music, and roasting s'mores at the bonfire. Admission for each event is $10 per person, with children 3 and under getting in for free. Burden Gardens Director Jeff Keeney says it's definitely fun for the whole family.
The corn maze has become a really popular attraction, especially being in the heart of Baton Rouge.
and it's easy to get to, and it's really about, you know, immersing yourself in agriculture in the middle of the city. So you can come out, enjoy walking through the maze. This year we're celebrating 50 years since the landing on the moon, so the maze has a moon and a rocket in it that you get to walk through. The other parts of the maze that go along with it are we have a petting zoo, we also have pumpkin decorating, we have slingshots that they can do, so also hay rides to the citrus grove. So it's just a lot of activities that young families can come out and enjoy being outside.
Luckett Farms will have its corn maze at Rosedown Plantation in St. Francisville ready for the public in mid-October, just in time for some cooler weather. At least, I hope so.
I hope so too.
Still to come, September is Rice Month, and we'll have an update on how the rice crop is looking.
But first, if you're ready for fall gardening like I am, there's a workshop that you might want to know about. Stay with us.
If you're a big farmer or a small gardener, there's a workshop coming up on composting you might be interested in.
I know I am. The workshop will be held September 24th through the 25th in Alexandria, and is designed to help you both start composting and be able to make food safety compliant compost. The event will include hands-on activities as well as guest speakers such as Grant Estrad of local cooling farms. The cost is $75 per person or $40 if you're a student or grower. We'll link you to the registration page over on our website at twilatv.org. Well, from planting to harvest, Louisiana rice farmers have had a year they would like to forget. Not once during the season did they ever have ideal growing conditions, which has led to low yields.
Craig Gautreaux takes us to southwest Louisiana to show us exactly what farmers are seeing in the fields.
Louisiana rice farmers have been behind the 8 ball all season long. Late planting because of wet weather, a crop that emerged unevenly because of cool weather, and a hurricane when the plants were pollinating were just some of the problems they encountered. These problems have caused yields to suffer.
Yields so far this season in southwest Louisiana have been very disappointing. Most growers are telling me that they're probably 15 to 20% lower than average.
The cool, wet weather early in the season led to uneven emergence, which affected both weed control and fertilization efforts. Then Hurricane Barry came ashore with its wind and rain. The major flooding that was predicted didn't materialize, but the effect of the storm would not be known until harvest.
I think a lot of people downplayed how much damage the wind and rain during flowering, how much damage that actually caused. I think it caused a lot more than we initially thought.
Harvesting conditions have been wet, which will have a negative effect on the second crop rice many producers grow. Farmers like to have their first crop cut by August 15th, but this year they are running behind.
This year, because we've been so wet, it's delayed harvest. We're also harvesting, in some cases, on muddy ground, which will rut up rice fields, which in turn will reduce our ratoon yields.
More bad news for farmers as rice inventories are up significantly, leading to depressed prices.
It really doesn't bode well this year since we have lower rice prices and lower yields. It's really going to create a financial difficulty for some of our growers.
Rice harvesting has just begun in northeast Louisiana, and the crop there appears to be in better shape. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gautreaux reporting.
About 75% of the state's 400,000 rice acres are grown in South Louisiana. The second crop of rice is expected to be harvested in late October through early November. They call that the ratoon crop. Teachers, there are some really great resources coming your way. The Louisiana Farm Bureau Ag in the Classroom Committee has been working hard on new workshops that are happening right now.
At these workshops, you'll learn about the new online commodity map that features videos and new information sheets for every major commodity that Louisiana farmers bring to the market. You'll also get some great lesson plans, games, and activities to take back to your classrooms, regardless of the grade you teach.
There will be 2 more workshops in September. If you missed the one in Calcasieu Parish that happened this week, you have another chance to attend on September 17th in Vermilion Parish. If you're in Northwest Louisiana, there's a workshop in Caddo Parish set for September 19th.
In October, more workshops will be held from West Carroll to Lafourche Parish and many places in between. One thing to note, these workshops are free to attend, but you must register in advance to secure your spot. This is to make sure we have enough food and resources like this new 2019 commodity map for everyone at your workshop. You'll find all of that information as well as a full list of upcoming workshops over on our website at twilatv.org.
And I understand that they're going to have some special goodies there for the teachers to bring back to the classrooms.
And the map's really cool, and they've been working really hard on it.
It is. Still to come, a Ninja Warrior Cowboy. You heard that right.
We'll show you how one rancher is scaling to new heights. Stay with us. Got a little trivia for you. How did beef, cattle, and ranch life turn one Idaho cowboy into a ninja warrior? In this week's TWILA Boost, we introduce you to Lance Pecos, also known as the Cowboy Ninja.
While Lance's day job is helping raise cattle in the central mountains of Idaho, he still finds the time and the energy to compete as a ninja warrior.
So American Ninja Warrior, they're on their 10th season. I happened to come across it on season 2 or 3 when it was on a cable network television show. So one of those high channels. I didn't even get it at the time. I happened to catch it at a friend's house. And I thought, wow, this looks cool.
He said he was doing this Ninja Warrior. And I just put in a pivot up the road and he's up there swinging and dancing around on that. I go, oh, okay, this boy's serious.
My dad growing up didn't know what he wanted to do, so he did construction, did a little bit of work here and there, and then so we bounced around from Utah, Washington, Montana, and I've always kind of lived in smaller towns and, you know, felt like I was associated with like farming and ranching, but I was always from the outside. It wasn't until I left school and met my future wife, spent the summer on her family's ranch, and I just really fell in love with the ranch work, and you really realize how much more is involved kind of being from the outside and then coming in and seeing how much work really goes into it. You know, I've done little things here and there and been a part of like baling hay and like changing pipe and stuff like that, but to really get a first-hand experience with it, and just kind of grew and just kept coming back. And then after school we moved here, set up permanently, and never left, and plan on living probably the rest of our lives here. Built a house, had 2 kids, and really enjoy having them on the ranch and raising them here.
Well, family means a lot, and he values family life, and we have a really good family.
My father-in-law has taught me so much, not just, you know, about ranch work, but, you know, he's always kind of instilled and told me, if you're gonna do something, you know, might as well do it right. For Ninja Warrior, you gotta be really mentally focused on what you're doing. And not only is it important for me after working out and working hard on the ranch to make sure that I'm getting enough protein intake, not just at night, but just throughout the day. Beef is just a great source of that. And as my kids growing up, there's nothing better to make sure they're getting the food that they need to develop. A lot of people, you know, they say I'm strong, and I look at, you know, people in my life, you know, you got family strength. And for me, it's people behind me, it's the people that support me, it's the people that, you know, are there for me that, you know, are strong, and, you know, maybe their strength is getting shown through me.
The person who needs to be on there, Neil Molassong. Special thank you to the National Cattlemen's Beef Association for that video. That does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week where we'll feature some in-depth conversations with your Louisiana gubernatorial candidates.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
For all of us here at TWILA, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.